Hello, and welcome to this year's Juvenes Translatores award ceremony in Brussels.
We are your hosts for today. My name is Beatrice. I work as a translator in the Italian translation department, meaning that I translate into Italian, my mother tongue. And I will be hosting today with my colleague Miha, who's yet another European Commission translator. Miha is Slovenian, but he works for the English department because it's more fun.
It's more fun.
Yeah.
The ceremony today is being web streamed live and will remain online. To make sure that everything goes smoothly, we've got our friends, the interpreters, here with us. They're the ones who make the magic happen, and they're here today to provide interpretation in 23 languages. And you can speak and listen to any of the 23 languages listed on the screens to the left and the right. And right away, how's this for a story? If you look back, hello there, and wave towards that cabin, there is a certain Anne Moreau sitting there. It's a Dutch cabin, and she won the Juvenes Translatores contest in 2011 and now works as an interpreter in Brussels. Hey! If you would like to use interpreting, just don the headphones and select the number corresponding to any of the languages that you would like to listen to.
All right, it is time to begin. This year's contest was the 16th in a row, and it was held in 681 schools across the EU. You are the winners. You have come to Brussels to collect your well-deserved awards. But before we do that, we will listen to some of you and to one of the teachers as well. To get things going, I'd like to invite to the stage our Director General, Mr. Christos Ellinides. Thank you.
Okay. Dear winners of the 2022 Juvenes Translatores competition, dear parents and teachers, dear colleagues, distinguished guests, welcome to the 16th award ceremony of the Juvenes Translatores contest. A contest that has been running since 2007 with one single ambition: to promote language learning in schools. It is a pleasure for me to welcome you all here today and to congratulate you, the winners of the contest for 2022. It is a fantastic contest, running in its 16th year, almost the same age as many of this year's participants and winners. It is a pity that this contest was not up and running when I was 16. But then I think that even if it had run 4 decades ago, and if I had participated, my chances of winning would have been slim at best. Maybe my personal experience in studying ancient Greek at the time had such a distressing impact on me that I decided my craving was for science and not for languages. In fact, I actually decided there and then that Greek and English were enough for me. Well, I broke that promise when I joined the European Commission because I had to learn a 3rd language so that I could be promoted. So, at the age of 45, I started learning French. And trust me, the older people learning a new language is much harder than it is for you guys. But I did discover that learning a new language keeps the brain alert and the mind buzzing. So there you have it. Language learning never ends. A message for young and for old too. All the participants in this year's competition have gained something just by taking part in the competition. Not just from the actual experience of taking a test, but also from preparing for it and working closely with their teachers and their classmates. In my eyes, everyone is a winner, even if they did not end up with a prize or a special mention. This year's entries have been exceptionally good, and a lot of the submissions were characterized by strong translation texts. This is the reason why we have so many special mentions this year. 287 special mentions, which is significantly more than in past years. So we have strength in quality as well as in quantity. And we have strength in diversity too. Juvenes Translatores is not at all about everyone translating into just one language. This year's entries included translations in 141 different language combinations and with some remarkable pairs in language combinations. We had translations from Polish into Swedish, Hungarian into German, Spanish into Slovenian, and French into Greek. This contest is one of our most visible communication initiatives to promote multilingualism in Europe. In 2022, a total of 681 schools and 2,883 students participated in the competition across Europe. It reflects the linguistic and cultural diversity of our European Union, which is one of our true strengths in this union. We sometimes take words for granted. We forget that they can evolve. We forget that their meaning may change over time, and we also forget where they came from. For instance, we use the word translation or translate, but rarely, if ever, we think about its literal meaning, that it comes from the Latin term which means to carry across. Likewise, the French equivalent, traduit, comes from a Latin word meaning to lead across. And that is what translators do, and interpreters too. They transport their readers or their listeners from a script they don't comprehend to a narrative they understand. Translators provide a real human bridge between different languages, cultures, and speakers. They bring people together and replace confusion and misunderstanding with clarity and mutual understanding. That is why translators are so essential to the very existence and functioning of the European Union. Like many other areas of work and life, the world of translation is changing fast thanks to technology. The pace of change and uncertainty may be unsettling as you look ahead, in search of either further studies or a job. But it is also a great time for opportunity. As technology disrupts and changes many professions, some future gazers have estimated that somewhere between 60 to 85% of the jobs that people will be doing in 2030 have not yet been invented. We are in the midst of the green and digital transition that are both reshaping our economies and our lives. How can we possibly prepare, you might ask, for such swift and extensive change? Well, I believe one crucial thing is to keep building expanding, and upgrading your skills. Ideally transferable skills, such as cooperation, understanding, critical questioning, and reasoning. All these are skills that you acquire when you study languages. In the Commission, we are continuously following and contributing to the evolution of the translation profession. We are embracing the many opportunities that technology offers, including machine translation and artificial intelligence. We are present, front and center, with our active participation in the development of language technologies and digitalization. Yet, we also recognize that translation is not something that can be left to technology alone. Machine translation and AI can help us to get a gist, a good idea of what is said, but may not catch the essence. Today, and as we speak, language technology has become excellent at spotting patterns, predicting, retrieving, and guessing. But it doesn't yet completely grasp the full context of the real world. You do. It cannot tell fact from fiction. You can. And I am sure you all know how easily we can end up with chatbot-generated narratives that contain mistranslations, misinformation, and I don't know what. That is why high-level professional translation will always require quality checks by human translators. They alone have the sense and sensitivity to ensure precision and convey exact meaning. Dear winners of the 2022 Juvenes Translatores competition, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming out of a long and hard winter. Europe has to battle against multiple challenges. The energy crisis, high inflation, rising cost of living, financial stagnation, the continuing and devastating war in Ukraine. Last year, this award ceremony took place just a few weeks after Russia's unprovoked invasion. We all know the terrible consequences. A year has now passed, but the war still goes on. The reports from translators working in the crisis zone are profoundly moving. We had one of them last November talk to us here in this same auditorium, coming out of the war zone from Ukraine. They continue to share with us how the war in Ukraine demonstrated the importance of translation and interpretation in times of crisis. And the immeasurable toll it has taken on the Ukrainians, linguists included. The need for us to show our support and solidarity for Ukraine is as strong as ever. In Ukraine, right in the front yard of Europe, there is still snow on the ground. Young men and women are in active combat, and countless civilians are suffering and dying, often in their own houses. We will not cease to support the government and people of Ukraine as they battle for their freedom and their democratic values, which are the same as ours. We are with them too in our daily work at the European Commission and the rest of the institutions, responding to the political fallout by working at full speed on a wide range of unprecedented and resolute measures and facilitating communication through our translation and interpretation services. For us, communicating and communication is now more important than ever. People are becoming more critical of their governments and the EU. Today, we are confronted not only with rising political populism and consecutive crises, but also with complicated humanitarian issues, such as the wave of refugees into Europe. These are exactly the reasons why the EU institutions need to be citizen-centric and able to communicate with all levels of society in member states. It is our job to inform them of what we are doing, why we are doing it, and how we are doing it, in a language they understand. Multilingualism is one of the founding pillars of the European Union, a union that supports language learning at all levels. Take, for example, the Erasmus program, and I'm looking at the colleague from DG EAC, a student exchange program which lets young people get a taste of another European country and another language. In fact, the European Commission has set itself an ambitious goal. We would like to see all students in all member states use at least 2 foreign languages by the end of their compulsory education, and, above all, that they consider learning languages an integral part of their professional development. We have with us today a number of translators from DGT who were happy to welcome you all yesterday, winners, teachers, and parents alike. I also met with a few of you yesterday at our head office. They shared with you their experience and what they actually do as translators in the European Commission. I would like to thank especially all the translators in DGT who either marked or authored the papers for this year's competition. Allow me also to extend my sincere thanks, already extended many times before, as well to our interpreters who are continually transporting us from one language to another from the booths all around us. My thanks also go to DGT's communication unit that has once more excelled in the organization of this event. But most of all, I want to say a wholehearted, well done to all the winners, their teachers, and congratulations also to the parents of these promising young talents. My dear winners of the competition, I have seen your posts, stories on social media, and I know many of you have boundless dreams and ambitions. Pursue them. Believe in yourself. Not all of you plan to become translators or linguists, but rest assured that your language skills will serve you well whatever path you choose to follow in the future. Thank you. Enjoy the ceremony and the rest of your stay here in beautiful but not so sunny Brussels.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christos. Some say that change plus uncertainty actually equals opportunity. And in the EU context, that's certainly true. With the opening address behind us, it's time for more speakers.
Indeed, we call them Juvenes Oratores. Many of you have stepped forward, but unfortunately, we only have time to listen to 6 of you. First up is the winner from Austria, Theresa Drexler.
Vielen Dank, dass ich heute
Thank you very much for allowing me to stand here before you today in Brussels as one of the winners. I believe I speak for all of us when I say that we are not just incredibly grateful for this opportunity, but also incredibly proud. We are all connected by a love of languages. I myself grew up bilingually, speaking German and Hungarian, Magyar. And Most of the time, I see this as a gift, but don't misunderstand me when I say that sometimes it can feel like a bit of a curse as well. 2 languages are 2 worlds and 2 lives, but as you can see, there's only one of me. On the one hand, I'm Theresa in German. I've learned, loved, and lived German my whole life, but I'm also Theresa in Hungarian, and the Hungarian language holds my heart and my soul. And although I am both, I often get the impression that I'm not truly either. In Austria, we don't just speak German. Every region also has its own dialect, but I don't have such a dialect. I've never been able to bring myself to adapt in that way and to take on board the dialect spoken by the people around me. It simply never felt right for me. I like to show off my Hungarian. What I don't like to admit is that I speak with an accent in Hungarian, which clearly distinguishes me from other native speakers. Any native speaker would immediately know that Hungarian is not my first or my only language. Austria is my home, but Hungary is where I feel at home. I've spent my entire life in Austria. Every school I ever attended was in Austria. That is where I live, where I talk, and I love it there. I enjoy being there, and I suppose I belong there. When I'm in Hungary, I feel free. I feel a connection to the people that I share a language with, but I also feel divided because I know that only a part of me belongs with them. Life in Hungary is different than in Austria. Not better, not worse, just different. And I'm different when I'm there. That's where I can be myself, and I suppose that's where I belong. If Hungarian is my mother tongue, why do I speak better English now than I do Hungarian? Because I go to the international school at Kufstein, Tyrol, where the language of instruction is English, and that means that my knowledge of English is now stronger in several areas than my knowledge of Hungarian. That daily contact teaches you wealth of language that an individual could never give you. But if I'm Hungarian, why has my third language now overtaken Hungarian? I am proficient in both of my languages, German and Hungarian, but I only have one mind, and this can become a problem when I subconsciously start mixing languages together, or if I can only think of a word in one of the languages. For instance, whenever I want to express sympathy with others or with myself, I only ever use the word żeni, which means poor. No matter whom I'm speaking to, no matter what their language is, I will only ever use the word żeni. Mixing both languages happens automatically now, and often subconsciously. Whenever I'm thinking, I do so in German. When I'm cursing, I do so in Hungarian. When I write poems, I do so in German. When I speak to my grandmother, it's in Hungarian. When I listen to music, I prefer to do so in German, but when I sing, I prefer to do so in Hungarian. But if I'm both, why am I not really, truly either? This is a question I often ask myself, and I think the audience here in Brussels can understand me, or can at least comprehend what I'm saying, when I say that I will never be and am not Austrian enough for Austria, and will never be and am not sufficiently Hungarian for Hungary, which means that I'm both equally, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Perhaps I was wrong. 2 languages are 2 worlds, but only one life, my life. This competition has shown me that I don't have to separate myself, but I can bring everything together in myself. It's not a question of either or. You can simply have both. I connect 2 languages, and I am connected to 2 countries, and they both make me what I am, Theresa, in German and in Hungarian. Thank you.
Thank you, Theresa, for sharing such a personal and intimate perspective on languages. We sometimes perhaps are not aware that growing up multilingual and multicultural can be both a blessing and a curse, as you say. Our next speaker comes from Czechia. His name is Petrnoušek.
First of all, I would love to thank everyone who helped me get here. My teacher, Miss Malikova, my parents, especially my mom who flew here with me, and also the organizers who made this whole thing possible. These last 2 days were absolutely amazing. You see, when I got the confirmation letter that I won, I couldn't really understand why or how. I thought my translation was a rather mediocre one, and my language skills were nothing out of the ordinary. I was actually a little bit scared that I was going to get a call telling me that actually I hadn't won. They had just mistaken me for somebody else. That didn't happen, as we can see, but it still made me think about feeling average, because that's what I thought of my language skills, even though I have been proven wrong, at least a little bit. So that's what I wanted to make my speech about, feeling average. I believe that quite a few people, especially people in my generation, struggle with this. Being average on its own isn't a bad thing. No one is ever going to be great at everything. But when you're a teen and you feel like your whole life depends on whether you're going to get great at something, whether you're going to excel or not, it can make you feel incredibly hopeless. Suppose you're no more than just okay at everything. What are you going to do? Where's your future going to lead? And those are questions I ask myself as well. Those feelings are my own. And most of them have their origins in pressure. The pressure to be great at school, magnified by the fear of failure. I don't feel like our school system is designed to help us avoid it. We cannot really learn from our mistakes. Instead, it should be focused on helping us learn to love learning. I think that the center of our attention should be the things we like, things that are going to be useful in our adult life. Not the stuff that we're bad at and in which we must put a lot of our energy only so that we don't fail. And in my opinion, one of these focal points should be languages, because they have the ability to open new doors in life, like they did for me today. Then there's the pressure from social media. Although this has been said times and times again, I will continue in the same vein, because social media pressure is still a problem that needs to be solved. Not only they portray the outside world inaccurately, they make us feel like we aren't living our lives to the fullest when other people are. They also consume our life, our time. They're designed to be addictive, and the fact that they can become a serious addiction is often overlooked, just because it's not something physical. And then there's the pressure that we put on ourselves. This is something I see in my little sister, and it's slowly but surely breaking my heart. Although we keep telling her that she's great and smart and talented in so many ways that I'm not talented at, she feels like she lives in my shadow and can only walk in my steps. She believes that if she doesn't excel at the things that I do, she isn't worthy and she won't find her own future. It's a bittersweet feeling when I win something like today, because it just sets more expectations for her, even if they are just in her head. And all of this contributes to our generation feeling hopeless and scared of what comes next. The pressure is making us feel uncertain about ourselves. It makes us wonder if we are even worthy of a happy life, and it also brings out the imposter syndrome. So we end up doubting our future, which isn't really how life should work. We should be excited about what lies in the store for us, if not every day, at least most of the days. So I stand here to tell to all the people who might feel that way, to tell my sister and to tell myself as well. We will have a future. Even if not all of us are going to be astrophysicists or Olympic winners who are astrophysicists, it doesn't make us any less worthy of a happy life. It doesn't make us any less worthy of a good future. We were all born unique in our own ways. It can feel like we are just a part of a faceless crowd, but we aren't. We can shape our own worlds for the better, either by ourselves or with the help of others. And we can make some friends along the way. You don't have to be a prodigy to be unique. You're enough as you are, and you always will be.
Thank you. Thank you, Max, for your encouraging words. Taking the stage next is David Nicolae Şolga, from Romania.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor to be here today in Brussels and speak in front of you all, thanks to the Juvenes Translatores contest. Este pentru prima oară.
It's the first time that I've been out of my country and the first time that I'm representing my country, my community, and my high school, the George Moiano High School. Juvenes Translatores is the most important competition I have ever participated in. So finding out that I am Romania's winner in a contest of such scope brought a wave of emotion in my life. I would like to express my gratitude to my teachers who made it possible by enrolling the school in this competition and who trained me and my colleagues. My relationship to the English language began a long time ago. My mother was then trying to teach me a few words in English. Then I wanted to learn as much as possible. Then the challenge turned into pleasure because I found it easy to learn English. Later, I had a teacher who encouraged the competition between us by rewarding us with colored stamps. Later on, I was again lucky to meet a very good teacher, Mrs. Cezarina Bâlbâie, who in fact entered our school in this competition. Her involvement, both pedagogical and spiritual, made me first of all a better person, and then gradually a confident English speaker. Now, in high school, I had another wonderful teacher, Mrs. Elena Bucurenciu, who helps improve my knowledge day by day. I would like to thank her for the trust that she had in me and for the door she opened to the fascinating world of translation. I am proud that both my teachers are with me today in this room, and so is my mother. I am also grateful to my Romanian teachers. They managed to arouse my interest in reading and made me appreciate literature. It is largely because of them that I am here. They were all mentors. They shaped me and indirectly contributing to me becoming this year's champion. I have been studying languages for many years. I still have a lot to learn. It is fascinating how I am different when I speak a foreign language. I discover resources and abilities that I was not aware of before. My perception of the world is enhanced by the access to other cultures. Perhaps this is what makes me continue to study foreign languages. And thanks to this competition, I understood that being a translator does not simply mean rendering a message from one language to another, but translating a whole story. There are many uncertainties in my future, but two fundamental conditions. I want to be the best version of myself, and I want to enjoy myself regardless of the path I choose to take. I am ambitious and I have a blind faith in my own success, so I believe this will help me win. In the end, I would like to speak from my heart, honestly, to the young people here. You have to believe in the impossible. You have to be ambitious, bold, but calculated. Don't let anyone tell you it can't be done. If they do, prove them otherwise. You have to dream and dream again and dream some more. You have to believe in your dream. You have to be curious, be brave, be involved. You have to learn from anyone you meet without arrogance, without restraint. Read as much as you can. Watch movies. You have to find happiness in small things. Never settle for less. You must always aim high, because anything is achievable as long as the imagination sees it. You can change the world, but start with yourself. Don't shy away from obstacles, because that's the shortcut to a mundane life. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, David. I like your approach to life. persevere and prove your doubters wrong. The fourth winner taking to the stage is Eglė Pranckutė from Lithuania.
Labas.
Good morning. Hello, it is a great honor for me to introduce myself to all of you. My name is Eglė and I'm from Lithuania. Lithuania is a country small in territory but great in its history and spirit. I'm always proud to say that I am Lithuanian. It's like soil where I grew up. I was always surrounded by nice, virtuous people who were devoted to their country and culture. I grew up hearing fairy tales told in my own language, sung songs, grandmothers and grandfathers' stories about the painful history of my motherland, about the young men, partisans who heroically resisted the Russian occupiers and fought for the country's freedom, about the deportation of the hard-working people to the land of eternal frost, Siberia, about the persecutions and bans which they resisted and tried to keep their own identity. My skin shuddered listening to these stories about how young and old, children and adults, realizing that the future of their motherland depended on them, and they risked their lives and stood up to defend their country. I can't help but be surprised by their strength and unity. In my mother's stories, the episodes of struggle for the independence of Lithuania, which belonged to the Soviet Union at the time, came to life. One of them is the Baltic Road or the Baltic Chain, August 1989, when the three sister countries, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, joined their hands. People from these countries joined their hands, formed the chain, and demonstrated that they were against Molotov and Ribbentrop Pact that has divided Europe in a wrong way. And back then, our flags of these three countries that were banned at the time were publicly seen flying high. And this position was not easy to show. We were very brave to do this. And probably we have you also been in a position where it's difficult to choose, because choice is easy and another one is right. The dilemma of such choice accompanies us every day, and it's not easy to make this change. But let's look at ourselves. Let's look at today's reality. Not far from us in Ukraine, a brutal war is taking place which tests humanity in every way. Every minute, innocent people are killed, civilians and cultural buildings are shelled, and Ukrainian soldiers are tortured, fighting for their life and the life of their country and its people. It's immoral and wrong. But the most important thing is that this aggression arose from a sense of indifference when the majority closed their eyes to the emerging threat. But despite everything, Ukraine is not alone, and every day is getting closer to victory. And this will be victory for everyone. By spreading the word about what's going on, donating, we can see that even the smallest positive action has a positive effect, and it keeps the world from turning into an empire of evil. It is necessary to remember that the world has always survived because of such people who even in most terrible circumstances did not lose compassion. And the World War II Jewish history is a good proof of that. Unfortunately, there is still too much talking about those who committed the most horrible crimes and too little mention of those who prevented evil from progressing. The true qualities of a person are revealed in difficult situations. Ordinary citizen who had strong self-awareness and moral compass decided to save lives without hesitation. One of such persons is Ona Šimaitė. She was a simple librarian, but she is the most famous savior of the Jews from Vilnius ghetto. She was a liaison between two worlds. At the risk of her own life, Ona brought food, medicine, letters, or even necessary documents to these imprisoned people. She saved not only people, lives from the ghetto, but also countless manuscripts, books, letters, and diaries, all of which became an integral part of our history. Of course, because of that, she was arrested, tortured, and taken to a concentration camp. But this did not erase her deeds from people's memory. And she proved how important it is to do the right thing in a decisive moment. And a lot more than we think can depend on it. Therefore, I invite each of us, those who are here in the room or who are listening along, to see ourselves not as someone who's going with the flow, but as a part of a whole, of a common, indivisible responsibility. Therefore, we should not be indifferent when someone is in need. We should not put up with cruelty, and we should never let it grow. And that's how we will improve the world.
Thank you, Eglė. Let's hope the world leaders were listening. Our next speaker is Ivet Kachurova from Bulgaria.
Colleagues, young and experienced translators, parents and teachers, hi to everyone. Apart from working with foreign languages, sometimes I like to ponder on life. This is why, instead of a typical speech, I'd rather give you a list of sorts of the things I learned, I remembered, and I thought about as a participant of the Juvenes Translatores competition. I have chosen 16 such items to commemorate the 16th edition of the competition. This is the symbolism of the number. The first piece of advice, although quite cliched, could be useful to all of us. We need to leave our comfort zone, to take on things more often that initially we thought we didn't want to do, we have never tried before, that scare us a bit. And what is interesting is, here is that when we follow this advice, we become more and more convinced how right it is. The second conclusion is that it is useful to have that life is full of surprises. This is why I decided to participate in this competition. But how many of you knew from the very beginning that you would be the winner? Show of hands. Well, apparently for all of us, this came as a big surprise. And speaking of the unexpected, thirdly, I thought I'd mention the support I received from so many people outside my school. And this got me thinking that sometimes we get so caught up in our own goals and ambitions that we forget to enjoy other people's successes, and this is quite important. Fourth, we all know that discipline leads to success, undoubtedly, but the best thing is when one manages to find what one does not feel one has to do by force, that one enjoys, as foreign languages are to many of us. 5, a confession from me. Sometimes I wonder what it would be like if I say I enjoyed mathematics, and if I were a different person, as if I were questioning the relevance of what I do, of what interests me. But whatever we do, it should be our calling. This is the only way things become meaningful. Sixth, it is often the case that not only us, but other people as well, doubt what we do. Many a time have I been asked, although jokingly of course, so what do you suggest now? Conjugate verbs all day long? Well, such comments should remain unheeded. Seventh, the issue of success and life in general. It is normal to have ups and downs. Sometimes it feels like we fall behind in what we're best at. This is why we should not lose the belief in our abilities, even when we're not at our best. Not only as individuals, of course. Many of my compatriots are not proud to be Bulgarians because they have forgotten how great our country was. But history gives us confidence when we remember the victories, and defeats serve as a lesson. Eighth, after some great achievements, it happens so that people become very proud and complacent. And then life brings us back down to earth. That's why it is very important not to be carried along in celebrating our successes. And ninth, something that is very relevant to us translators, we should not be afraid to be creative. It is mainly about being more relaxed and not to translate so literally, and to be able to show creativity on a school project. It is a bit intimidating, but always worth it. 10th, it's okay to come to terms with the fact that the more active we are, the more dynamic our lives become. Sometimes even sleep takes a back seat. 11th, let's get back to the topic of identity, because defining yourself and evaluating yourself is not an easy task. Sometimes you may come to discover new things about yourselves and your closest people. 12th, self-improvement. There is always more to achieve. But it is difficult when so many things seem imperfect, we don't even know where to begin. The important thing here is never to give up. Little by little, things fall into place. 13th, it happens that sometimes we're assigned a very responsible, sometimes impossible task, or have an unattainable goal. Then we must often instinctively we instinctively put it off, as I did in writing this speech, and then we realized that there was no reason to procrastinate at the beginning. 14th, it is true that what happens in our family, with our friends, can influence us to a high extent. Lack of support by our closest people sometimes helps us or hinders us. I have to admit that one night I remembered I've missed the most important message. Even the biggest achievement does not mean anything if we're not proud of what we have achieved ourselves. First and foremost, we have to be good people, and this is the only way to be happy and satisfied with what we've achieved. And last but not least, gratitude. It is normal to be proud of our own selves, but we should not forget to thank God and all the people in our lives without whom our success would have been impossible. And here I would like to pay special thanks to my parents, my father, who is with me here today, although I can't see him in the audience, and from whom I inherited my passion for languages, to my mother, who always gives me confidence, to my first German teacher, Tanya Bonova, for her invaluable knowledge and support, and to Mrs. Penka Vramova, who unfortunately couldn't travel with us today, but I would like to thank her for putting her heart and soul into every language competition of our school. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivet, for your profound thoughts on life. And of course, we also join in thanking all the parents and teachers, both those who are here and those who are watching us online. The last one of our 6 young speakers today is Fernando González Herreros from Spain.
El hombre no es más que la mitad. Man is only half of himself, the other half is his expression. That's a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Good morning, my name is Fernando González. I'm the winner for Spain in this competition. To be honest, I never thought I'd win anything. Certainly not this. Now, how do I feel about this prize? I think it's basically the fruit of a lot of work upstream. I was always interested in science when I was little, but I've also been interested in languages because I think nothing can be more useful than being able to communicate with people miles and miles away. So I've always been fascinated by things that are useful, and I've always been interested in trying to learn English so I could broaden my horizons, grow, and communicate with people better. Despite what some people might think, I'm not gifted for language or translation. In fact, I don't think I'm terribly good at either. The reason I'm here is thanks to effort. If I had something to say to future participants, is that if you have a dream, fight for it. Even if your efforts aren't immediately recompensed, enjoy the process. Enjoy falling down and getting up again. Enjoy fighting for your dreams. That's how you achieve them. Despite what some people might think, you don't have to be a genius to achieve things. People have sometimes told me I'm a very clever boy, but that's not enough. I believe anyone can achieve their dreams. And if for some reason one doesn't achieve what one wants, one learns from the process so that next time one will be successful. In my case, I can't say I learned English because of family or other links. No one in my entourage speaks it, and I didn't really go beyond studying it at school until I was 11 or 12. It doesn't mean my family didn't help me. Rather, they always did everything they could to support me in whatever I was doing. But sometimes hard work bears fruit. The only other language apart from Spanish and English which I have is Galician, which is one of the co-official languages of Spain and which is the area I grew up in. And though I don't speak it every day, it's something that I'm very proud of because languages are more just rules and grammar. They're part of a unique cultural heritage, and it's part of my cultural heritage. And while I have the floor, I'd like to say something going back to what I said earlier about expression. The way we express ourselves really show who we are. People with good ideas but not able to share them are missing out on their potential. Even when you try to improvise, sometimes it's hard to say everything you want to say. I find it hard to imagine how people can do that with a very short time, or when they have to do it live without thinking about it. Now, that brings me to another point that I've thought about recently about communication. We've all been watching the conflict and it's what's happening with the war between Ukraine and Russia. And at the end of the day, war is conflict. Conflict is often a conflict of interest. And what strikes me is that very often communication is the way around that. Peace and diplomacy are the way we all have to strive towards. Only together can we make progress. If we try to find conflict rather than communication, we will always fail. I'd also like to thank my parents. Whatever I did, whenever it was silly, they always tried to support them. I'd like to also say thank you to my brother, the person I love the most in the world, and my grandparents who are probably even prouder than I am. My grandfather, who unfortunately can't see me, but I'm sure he'd have been very proud. And my teacher, Sonia, who pushed me to as far as I could go, and all my other teachers who taught me, and many of whom taught me so well, and all my friends who supported me, made me smile, and helped me write this. Thank you, because it's thanks to you I'm here. And I'd like to thank the European Commission and the EU for this opportunity, for the time you're giving me. 5 minutes isn't a lot, given everything I'd like to say, but that's much more than I ever thought I'd get. And thank you all for listening to me. And at the end of the day, language is a weapon and a preparation for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Fernando, and again, everyone else, for stepping up and sharing your thoughts with us. As is customary, we will also lend an ear to one of the teachers. She is not new to Juvenes Translatores, has her school. Poolel and Main Lukio in Turku has won the contest no fewer than 4 times. Please welcome Katariina Einälä.
Dear Juvenes Translatores community, I stand before you a proud and happy teacher. First of all, I would like to congratulate you, the young master translators. The fact that you're here today is a great testament not only to your excellent language skills, but also to your ability to think creatively and boldly. I would also like to congratulate you, dear parents. You must be bursting with pride today, and for good reason. Your support for these young people is invaluable. In addition, I would like to thank and congratulate you, the teachers. You are doing meaningful work, and being part of this event is a huge thank you for that work. I myself have been a teacher for more than 25 years, and during that time, both the teacher's work and studying in high school have changed. Our students are required to manage ever larger entities in the midst of the huge amount of information that surrounds us from all sides. They are expected to take responsibility and progress in their studies independently, with the aim of developing the skills that will allow them to continue their studies after high school. At the same time, they need to be young, enjoy their free time and their hobbies and the company of their friends. We teachers are expected to have the ability to adapt to increasingly heterogeneous teaching groups, and at the same time have the skill to face each student as an individual. External pressures and expectations collide in this context. However, the basic mission of education has not changed. Our task is to support our students as they grow and develop into competent and self-aware adults. As a language teacher, it's easy to emphasize the importance of language and communication skills. This is especially true today, when the polarization of society is increasingly visible and digital and social media are an integral part of our everyday lives. We need experts in different languages, and we've heard young people talk about how important languages are important to them. They've found new characteristics of themselves, new skills, and they've tapped into new energies because of their language skills. And so we need people who know languages, who know cultures, and who can interpret beyond language and cultural boundaries. So we need people who can work with other people, and they can work across language and cultural boundaries, and they need to be able to internalize and interpret demanding content and produce it themselves so they can make their own voices heard. And so thinking skills are therefore needed in many languages. In addition to academic skills, the entire educational community has the important task of supporting the mental growth and well-being of young people. In my opinion, the importance of the school and social community has become even more emphasized after the corona pandemic and distance learning periods. In large teaching groups, meeting each young person as an individual is quite a challenging task. My supervisor says that he tries to meet at least one student every school day so that he focuses entirely on one person at a time. If this can be done every day of the school year, within a year, the number will be quite large. This is a very good principle, and I myself try to follow this. But despite doing this, we will not be able to reach everyone because there are those in teaching groups who withdraw to the sidelines. Interacting with others may require some to leave their comfort zones. And it's for this reason that we have to do our part in ensuring that that there is an atmosphere of caring in the school and that the community is nurtured there. We need a community which creates a sense of belonging for students and the entire staff are all part of, so that we know that students and the entire staff are all part of the same group, and that in that group, everyone must be allowed to be themselves, so without fearing the attitude of others. In my school, we have also tried to invest in the well-being of students, so we have thematic days, and we make sure that their opinions are heard. In this way, we hope to increase the feeling of working towards the same goal. During your studies, there will be times when you can't manage on your own, and this comes later in life as well. It's good for us to learn to ask for help from each other and to stop and give it to others when it is asked of us. We all face misfortune and failure. We make mistakes and we misunderstand. And the support of the community helps us move forward in difficult moments, when we make mistakes, when we're afraid. And it's very important to talk about these feelings out loud because we all experience them. So the support of the community is very important in terms of moving forward. And when we make mistakes, we need to be in an encouraging and supportive atmosphere. In this way, it's easier for us to learn from each other and move on. But there's also joy and humor in an open community. A little spark in the corner of the eye, a smile on the lips will help us break the ice and maybe save the day. There's an old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. And this applies to the educational community as well. All of us, students as well as teachers and other staff, have our place in that village, and how we treat each other leaves a mark. And we can choose what type of impact we have. It is a great honor to be part of this community. Here we meet people from different backgrounds, so we interpret and produce ideas in different languages. We discuss, we plan, we work, and we work together. You young people, you build bridges, you build the future. You leave your mark. Thank you.
Thank you, Katariina, teacher. No one is immune to mistakes, as you point out, which is why building a supportive environment is key. That's it for live speakers. We have one last message for you, this time from our Commissioner for Budget and Administration, Mr. Johannes Hahn. Knowing that he would not be able to join us today, Mr. Hahn took the time to record this message.
Dear students, dear teachers, dear parents, your common love for languages has brought you all together here in Brussels. I would have very much liked to be with you today in person and to join Christos in congratulating both you, the winners, and your teachers who made it possible for you to develop and express your love for different languages and cultures. This contest is a wonderful illustration of the European Union's diversity. It gives you, the young people, the opportunity not only to strengthen your language skills, but to broaden your horizons as well, to build bridges between different cultures and identities. It's one of the things our European Union does best, and we need this as much today as ever. We live in difficult times, when some people spread conflict and division and brought war to our continent. But you, by contrast, have already shown that you have the skills and energy to take a very different path, to reach out across and over linguistic and cultural boundaries, to understand what others think and want to say, to help others to share that understanding. I encourage you to put your linguistic gifts to the best possible use in the many years ahead of you. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of translation. Translation matters because the words and the expression of our thoughts and feelings matter. Yet, translation is not always easy. One cannot just translate word for word. A professional translator translates meaning. That is what professional translators around the world in the European Commission do every day. Translation is essential to our European identity, purpose and daily activity. The topic of this year's contest was youth, echoing the 2022 European Year of Youth. You drafted texts that are reflecting on the role of young people in shaping Europe and on key themes such as unity, peace and a greener future. Europe needs you, the young people, to have a strong voice in Europe. You are the future, and knowing what you have achieved in this contest, I am full of hope and optimism for the future. We encapsulate our European ideals in our long-standing motto, United in Diversity. Every day, we are working together to safeguard the peace and prosperity of all our nations, in full respect of the different cultures, traditions, and languages that make us who we are. And the role of translation is indispensable. Once again, I would like to offer you my virtual, but very much heartfelt, congratulations to all you, students, teachers, and parents alike.
Well, if our winners here are any indications, I would say this generation is already putting their voice and their talent to good use. But now it is finally time to present the awards.
They're nervous a bit. We will call out our winners to collect the awards in the alphabetical order of the member states in their own language, which means that we won't start with Austria, because Austria goes by the name of Österreich, so it doesn't come first.
So to do that, I would like to welcome back to the stage Mr. Ellinides, our Director General, and Mr. Strotmann from Commissioner Hahn's cabinet, who will be handing out the awards. No worries.
This is a live event. I will hijack it for 2 minutes. 3 minutes.
You're the director.
Because we heard our commissioner. I would like to give the floor maybe to the member of the cabinet of Commissioner Hahn to say for a couple of minutes, 3 minutes, a few words as well. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, Christos, thank you. Thank you. Good to see you all here. And sorry for hijacking the thing. I was sitting next to Christos, and all the time after each speech, including after yours, I said, wow, this is cool, this is really great, I love it. I mean, this is incredible. We must publish this. We must use what you have been telling us here. And then he played it back and said, okay, now it's up to you. So which is, for me, very difficult, because now I'm the stupid one between all the brilliant speeches and the brilliant ceremony that is coming. But if you allow me, if you're 2 minutes together, I would love to try to do, I thought I saw a thread through all these speeches that I tried to do. If it works, I tried to do a summary. Theresa, you said, who are we? You really spoke very deeply to me. We are not one person. We are not one culture. None of us is. But we are unique. We are ourselves, and we should be ourselves. You told me, be yourself. And I need this every day, and I think you said it here, that in Brussels, in this positive Babylon, we need to be all yourself, but we are all unique and different at the same time. And Max continued on the same. You said this feeling of being average. I know it every day. If I be with my brilliant colleagues, I go, oh gosh, why me? What do I have to do? We feel to be average. We feel the pressure. We feel the comparison with the others who are all brilliant around us. Just me, I'm not. Accept it. Accept it that we are not brilliant. Accept it that we are average. And it's good to be average, because together we are much more than average. And accept that we love to be amongst these other average people. David, you said we need to find new depths within ourselves from learning new languages and getting into new cultures. Always dream, you said. Never stop going further. Helps me today, helps me tomorrow, Helps me in the weekend and every day of the work. Eglė, you said we are founded, we grow up with the stories. My grandmother told me brilliant stories and very, very sad stories as well, just like you. But let's not be lost in the sadness and the evil of the past. I think that's what you told us. Build and take the strength from the good that is in the past to build the common future. And never, never, ever to give up. This was something that came up a lot. Never give up. Ivet, you said step outside towards what is new, what is unknown. Because I who steps out, you who step out, you will win, and the other one whom we encounter will also win. Both sides will win. And to accept that there are ups and downs, and this is also that. Ups and downs, and take the confidence from daring again. Fernando, communication, you said, I loved the sentence. Communication is something really useful. It's really useful. It is practical and it is useful every day. It is the number one tool, you said, to overcome conflict. And you also said what I liked, enjoy the trying, enjoy the process, enjoy even the failures, even if it is difficult. But you know that we can step up again. And the more often we do it, we fail forward. And I really like it, and I give it on to my son. No need to be a genius. That's what he tells me all the time. So you told it to me as well. I keep it like a slogan. Katariina, supporting and helping each other. This is the most beautiful thing in the world. Make others succeed makes us all succeed. And languages, translation and interpretation are central to make people succeed, work, live, love together without fear. And you said, let's put a smile on ourselves, on the others around us. And you put a smile on my face. Christos and Johannes Hahn said, that's how you started and how Johannes ended now. He said, translation and interpretation is about guiding over gaps, bridge building. And this we can do while remaining ourselves, oneself. But oneself who is not alone, but amongst friends. And we are all multiple identities. This came out all the time again. There is this old slogan that some people ridicule. I don't think it's ridicule at all. It is united in diversity. And translation and interpretation are at the very heart of building the EU, have always been, will be, bring it forward, and keeping it alive. Thank you so much, and thank you for putting up a smile on my face.
Okay, then let's go. First up is our winner from Belgium. His name is William Dancourt Kavanagh. William is passionate about programming, reading, cycling, and spending time with his cat. And of course, languages. Congratulations.
Our winner from Bulgaria, Ivet Kachurova. Ivet translated from German into Bulgarian, a future lawyer with a lifelong passion for language learning, to which she recently added love for strength training. Pozdravlenia. Our winner for Czechia, Max Petrnoušek. Max credits languages for giving him many opportunities, a film production workshop with German and Polish peers, a visit to the USA with his choir, a study exchange in France. Blahopřejme.
Next up, we have our winner for Denmark, Josephine Drexler. Josephine is passionate about stories in every form, be it books, movies, or music. And languages help her discover and connect with even more stories. Till lykke! Our next winner comes from Germany. His name is Paul Molleken. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here with us today, so his teacher, Dagmar Lorentzen, will be collecting the award on his behalf. Well, herzlichen Glückwunsch to Paul then.
Our winner for Estonia, Lisa Maria Vomar, hopes to become an actress, but in the meantime she doubles in clarinet, horseback riding, acrobatics, singing, dancing, mountain climbing, everything literally. Paljon.
Now our winner for Ireland, Mathilde Warsop. She grew up bilingual in both English and Irish, and as a matter of fact, she won with a translation into Irish. Other than languages, she likes baking and trying out recipes from other countries. Cohort is Mathilde.
Next up is a winner from Greece, Anna Kouki, translated from English into Greek, a future doctor who likes reading in both Greek and English, but also dancing and music. They do everything, don't they? Συγχαρητήρια.
Our winner from Spain is Fernando González Herreros. As he has told us before, Fernando speaks English, Gallego, and Spanish, but his interests veer more toward the scientific side, so he's hoping to work in the field of maths or engineering. Enhorabuena. For France, our winner is Maxence Lonequerre. He's curious by nature and always open to learning new things and meeting new people. He sees his future in the scientific field, unfortunately, but felicitación.
Our winner for Croatia is Klara Ferišek. She's proud to represent her town of Žličar, which means gold town in Croatian. Srdečne čestitke, Klara.
For Italy, our winner is Ginevra Mingione. Ginevra counts her regional dialect Napolitan as one of her native tongues, together with Italian. She plans on studying physics. Complimenti.
Dimitra Eleni Naku comes from Cyprus. Dimitra Lena, as she likes to be called, says language creates order out of chaos and calls it our brain's operating system. Συγχαρητήρια. From Latvia, Reinis Martisons, who is a future architect with a penchant for athletics and bicycle restoration. I bet you didn't expect this. Apsveicam!
Making connections.
Next, Lithuania, Eglė Pranckutė. She's committed to making the world a better place and wants to put her skills at the service of humanity. How very noble. Sveikinu.
Next up, the winner for Luxembourg, Dimitra Tsekura. She was born in Greece, spent the first few years of her life in Belgium, and then moved to Luxembourg. Dimitra is passionate about sciences, in particular biology, and hopes to become a researcher.
Our Our winner for Hungary is Niri Katalutsa. She's a future scientist who's already a polyglot, a musician, and an athlete. Would she consider a career in politics? Gratulalo.
From Malta, our winner is Giulia Cilia. Giulia's love for languages started and grew alongside her love for reading, but she's also passionate about mathematics, music, and art. Prosit!
Our winner for the Netherlands is Julia Seikel. Her mother tongue is Dutch, but she translated it into English just to impress us all. Yeah? Her interests include music, sewing, and costume design. Gefeliciteerd.
Now back to the stage, our winner from Austria, Theresa Drexler. Theresa is a poet. She grew up speaking German and Hungarian. Now she's learning English and Spanish, and she hopes to add French to the collection soon. Herzlichen Glückwunsch, Theresa.
Our winner for Poland, Agata Kurpisz. She's fascinated by the power of languages, so much so that she's been learning German and French, and Italian, and Spanish. Gratulacje.
From Portugal, we have Ana Leonor Sargento Amado. She's studying social sciences and economics, but she's also been volunteering since she was 11 when she joined the Scouts. Parabéns! Our winner from Romania, we've heard from him before, Nicolae Şolga. He loves art for its ability to transport people somewhere else. Although he hasn't found his path yet, he knows it will involve awakening feelings in others. Felicitări!
Our winner for Slovenia is Elizabeta Tomac. She could not be here, sadly, so her teacher, Eva Pišler-Suchadolc, will collect the award for her. Čestitke, če nas gledaš.
Now our winner from Slovakia, Simona Šepelova. Simona started out, in fact, as an interpreter for her parents on holiday. So she learned English, German, and Spanish. Gratulujeme.
Our winner for Finland is Sanni Airola. Sanni used to think she didn't need English until she realized how many doors it opens. Now she says she uses it even more than Finnish. Onnittelut! The winner for Sweden is Agnieszka Mikulska. She translated from Polish into Swedish. She's a violin player and a choir singer and speaks 4 languages and appreciates how important languages have been in her life, but will probably study biology, which is... Gratis. Group photo, do you want to hang on here?
Okay. No.
Yeah, no, stay. Okay, stay.
We have a
something
couple
to
more
say.
words to say,
Something
yes.
more to say. No.
Whatever you prefer.
Yes. Okay, I'm moving out of the way.
Yeah. Well, again, a big thank you to everyone, the winners first and foremost, then the teachers, the parents, the interpreters, the markers, the Commissioner, the Director General, and everyone else who made the 2022 Juvenes Translatores contest possible.
Before we part, allow us a quick closing remark. I have to look at you. You are the best. You have come out on top.
In fact, your mastery of both the source and the target language has impressed the judges, our colleagues, many of whom have been alive. Well, I've been translating for longer than you've been alive, and they're also alive, I promise. So you should be proud of yourselves. We know your parents and your teachers are.
We would like you to take this experience, this award, this sense of accomplishment, the dinner, the commission, the diversity, the weather in Brussels.
Take that.
And don't be afraid to reach for the stars.
Now, two last things before the very, very end. After the ceremony, you're all more than welcome to join us for lunch right outside the room. And also, we would like to invite the winners, and just the winners, please, on stage, together with Mr. Ellinides and Mr. Strotmann, for a group pictures. Congratulations again, everyone. Thank you so much.
Super bien fait.
Merci.